Hey friends, it's Judy Clock, your independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Middletown, Virginia. And this video is very late. It should have been posted last Thursday, but I am so busy with Stampalooza prep. Stampalooza is happening this Friday and Saturday. And I got so much to do still to get ready for it, to make sure it's extra special for everyone that's coming, that I just didn't get a chance to do my video. So last Friday in my Facebook VIP group, I asked folks, what's the one tool that you have that you've never used? So there was a bunch of different answers, but one of the ones that came up pretty consistently was the water painters and also blending brushes. So I wanted to take a little time today to kind of go over some of the uses for our blending brushes and our water painters, especially now the water painters are back in stock. I love them. Anybody can be a watercolor artist with these painters. I have no talent whatsoever for coloring, but I think they came out pretty good. So let's go ahead and get started and we'll see. We're just going to do 2 cards today because, like I said, I'm really pressed for time trying to get everything ready for Stampalooza. But I figured 2 was better than none. So here we go. Let me make this big, figure out how to do all this. There we go. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to work again with that beautiful Amber Autumn bundle. It's got the matching stamp set and matching dies. And we're going to use our blending brushes to kind of create that beautiful background that we use to cut out with that big leaf die. Got a couple of embellishments here and then just a very simple autumn wishes sentiment and then just our plain white on the inside. And then we're going to do some water painting. We're going to use StazOn ink on watercolor paper. Slow down. And we're going to use our ink refills to kind of give us that little bit of ink to create those pumpkins. And I hope you'll like them. I think they turned out fairly well. Like I said, I am really not an artist at all, but I think they actually came out okay. So let's go ahead and get started. So for our first card, I took a 1/4 sheet of our basic white. So this is just 5.5 by 4 1/4. And I chose 3 ink colors. I chose Cajun Craze, Crushed Curry, and Old Olive. Just because I thought those would look well for, like fall leaves. Let me just, if I can position this a little bit better, that you can see what I'm doing. So I've got my 3 colors here. I've got my blending brushes, and I'm just going to start with Crushed Curry, which is here. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of color on my brush. Now I want to start off where there. I'm going to start off on my, on my scrap paper, because I don't want to get like that big blob of color on my cardstock. And I'm just going to use a circular motion, and I'm just going to add the color wherever I feel I want it. You can press lighter, you can press harder, whatever you want to do is fine. Then I'm going to come in here. Now I know my crushed curry is like really juicy. It's really inked up really well. So again, I'm going to start off on my scrap paper, and I'm just going to come over here, and I'm just going to continue to add some of this beautiful yellow color. And then I'm going to do the same with our Old Olive. Again, picking up some color on my blending brush. I'm just kind of rubbing it over my stamp pad. I'm going to, again, start off, and I'm just going to add this wherever I want. Now this one is not so inked up, so I'm going to add this color. Okay, back. I'm going to add a little bit more of our crushed curry. Kind of tone down some of that really bright yellow I've got there. Maybe add a little bit more crushed curry up here into this corner. I want these colors to be vibrant, so I'm kind of using a little bit of a heavy hand on some of the areas because I really want this color to really come through. Now, you'll notice in the Amber Autumn dies, there is this beautiful like cut leaf die that we're just going to use. We're going to place it over our paper, however you want. Now, I try to get an even, I can't even do this while I'm holding it, like an even border on each side. I will trim this down to 5¼ by 4. So I do want to try to get an even border on each side. And then we'll run that through our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And through the beauty of modern television, I have our border. So let's finish up our stamping. I'm going to stamp. Now for these labels, I used the label shapes from the Jolly Holly bundle. So these are from the Jolly Holly bundle. And I'm just going to stamp in my Cajun Craze. I'm going to stamp Autumn Wishes right in the middle. Okay, that's it. Let me close these up for right now because actually we're not really going to need these for our second card. So I'm just going to close these up for today. And I'm still going to try to get a video done for tomorrow, for Thursday, my normal Thursday video. Fingers crossed that I can get everything done. But here we go. But I'm so excited for Stampalooza. I can't wait to have everybody come and to be just amazed by all the good things we have in store for them. Now I'm going to add a piece of basic white to the inside. I always do that on my cards just because I think it makes the card look a little more finished. Again, that's just my, my little thing that I like to do, and it's your card, so it's your way. All right, now I've got here this pretty little, and I kind of like, I don't know, maybe I'll do it like this. Doesn't really matter how you do it. I am going to add some multi-purpose liquid glue. Now, had I really been planning ahead, like I should have been, I would have used an adhesive sheet on the back of this, but I truly wasn't thinking as I was planning to do this video. I was just thinking, oh, I got to get a video out. So sometimes you mean to do things and they just don't happen. Okay, I do want to make sure I get all the little pieces out. So I'm going to just pull these two little pieces that were kind of hanging on there, pull those off. Okay, now you'll see some of the bigger leaves have some room where you could put a little bit more glue. Again, just little dots here and there. It doesn't take a lot. You don't want to put too much because you don't want it to have it like oozing out from beneath. So again, just some little tiny dots of glue here and there. Let me put some on this leaf because I kind of have a thin edge over here. All right, I'm going to put this on the front. And again, that liquid glue kind of gives us a little bit of extra time to kind of position this where we want it. Okay, got that. And I'm going to adhere my basic white to my old olive. Okay, we got that there. Now this I'm going to pop up on some dimensionals, because I love to have that little bit of lift, excuse me, with my cards. So I love to use dimensionals. I really like to use all of the things, all of the tools, all of the toys. We'd love that. All right, give me an amen if you love using all of your tools and toys. All right, so we've got that. Now let's go ahead. I have some linen thread here somewhere in this mess that I call my desk. It's over here. Now I cut about two lengths of about 10 inches. But what I like, see, it comes off the roll. It's kind of like wavy. So I like to just kind of pinch it between my thumb and forefinger to just kind of straighten that out. It just makes it a little bit easier to work with. I'm going to measure out about, I don't know, between 8 and 10 inches. I don't really have a hard and fast measurement. I usually pick just a little bit more than I need because I want to make sure I have enough to tie a bow. So I'm going to tie them together. I'm going to make a double bow. So I'm going to tie these two together to make my double bow. I just sometimes, because this is so thin, our linen thread, that sometimes I just like to do two lengths together to make that double bow, to just make it a little bit fuller. That's, again, just kind of my little thing. And I just kind of play with it until I kind of get my loops, how big I want them, and then I'll just kind of come here and trim the tails a little bit. Trim those. Okay, we trim those. Now I got some glue dots. There, the box is underneath my phone. All right, let's go ahead. Let's add some glue dots to our die cut oak leaves. Okay, and I'm going to put these kind of right there. I'm going to put another oak leaf. So I used these in Old Olive and Crushed Curry. I'm just kind of keeping with those three colors for this. I can use a glue dot for my little linen thread bow. Kind of put that right there. And then we are going to finish it out, if I can find it, with the embellishments that I had right here not too long ago. I had to go to Best Buy because my laptop died. There's no more sound, and it's very frustrating when you're trying to do things and there's no sound. So I had to go get a new laptop today. So that is upstairs running, trying to bring over all my files and get everything all set up, which is always so much fun. Not. And then I came down here to do this, and now I can't find anything. And I'm rambling, and I know I'm rambling, and I apologize. Okay, so I'm going to use my pick tool. So another tool that was mentioned that people didn't really know how to use. So this little end here can be used if you're doing paper piercing. This one can also, it's got the putty end, and this is also good for picking up embellishments. See how you can just pick it up and then just plop them down wherever you want. Let's do one more, I don't know, one more little one. Let's see. Sometimes it doesn't work though. So let's go, how about right there? And that is card number 1. So we used our blending brushes to add some pretty fall colors to a piece of basic white. Then we die cut it, added it to the front of our card, and we just finished it up with a couple of little sentiment label and some die cuts and some embellishments. And we used our take your pick tool. So again, we used the pointy end or the pokey end to pick up some embellishments. You can also use the putty end for picking up some embellishments. And this is also good if you want to do paper piercing. I don't do a lot of that, so I use it more for picking up embellishments. All right, let's move on to card number 2. This I think is probably my favorite. So we're going to use watercolor paper, and we're going to stamp this image, the pumpkin and corn image, very fall-ish image, on the watercolor paper. We're going to use StazOn ink, and then we're going to use our water painters and just little spots of ink refills. You'll see I have them here already. So I've got some pecan pie, some crushed curry, some old olive, and some pumpkin pie to go ahead and color our image. But let's go ahead and stamp that in our watercolor paper. Here's a piece of watercolor paper. This is the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. I do have some StazOn here. Okay, and the reason I'm using StazOn is it's good for using with water because it's not a water-based ink, so it won't run when we go to do the watercoloring. So I'm just going to make sure I ink up. And when your stamp is bigger than your ink pad, it's easier to ink your stamp up this way than trying to tap it onto the ink pad. All right, so I've got that. I have the little cover for this. There it is. Just kind of helps it from drying out. All right, here we go. I'm going to stamp this right on a watercolor paper. Make sure I get it a nice, good image on there. Okay, now because this is StazOn, I do want to clean it right away. I have a bottle of our StazOn cleaner here. I'm just going to kind of rub it over my stamp. Make sure I get it off, and I'm going to kind of blot this on my scrap paper to kind of help take that color off. Okay. And then I can just rub it onto the to my chamois, which has also walked off. It's on the other table. Actually, um, there we go. All right, so now let's go ahead and get ready to do our water painters. Now our water painters come, there's 3 different brushes in there. This wide one, that's your little secret. This is great for sealing envelopes because it's nice and wide. Get it wet, run it across your envelopes, seal them up, you're good to go. Then we've got 2 what I call like fine point. One's a little thicker, one's a little thinner. I'm going to use the thinner one today, just because I am more comfortable using that one. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to make sure I squeeze it. You'll see it, I don't know if you can see, it says push here. I'm going to squeeze it to make sure I have some water coming out. I've actually got a little yellow on there still. Okay. Okay, there we go. I'm going to pick up some green. I'm going to squeeze it, get some water in my ink. Okay, and I'm going to pick up some ink and I'm going to color my leaves. So this is going to take us a little bit of time, but I hope you'll give this a try. I really like watercoloring. I am, like I said, I am not an artist by any stretch of the imagination, and I still feel pretty confident doing this little bit of watercoloring. Now, you can use more ink to make them darker. You can use more water to make them lighter. I kind of have a little bit too much liquid on there. But you see how my ink is not running? My ink is staying great, which is why you want to use the StazOn when you're doing watercoloring. Because if I had used Memento, it would be very runny and I would not get nearly as good of a watercolor image as I'm going to get with the StazOn. So I'm just going to kind of just a little bit of green to some of these. We're going to go back over that then with pecan pie, because these stems are never really green, right? They're usually a little dried up. I'm sorry, that's not pecan pie, that's crumb cake. My apologies. I'm giving you the wrong color. And then I'm just going to squeeze it to get all that green off. Okay. Let's pick up some yellow. Let's do our corn. Okay, I need a little bit more water on that. Okay. Okay, I'm going to use our corn here. Oh, and right there you can see I used a little bit, it was dark, then I added some more water, and now it's coming out a little bit lighter. So that's just going to give you the shadows that you want when you are painting. If I pick it up from this end, again, I can get a little bit darker. Now I'm going to do this gourd. Okay, see how it's coming out darker there? Okay, let's come over here. Let's use a little bit more water. It's going to come out a little bit lighter. You see? And now if I want to get it a little bit darker, where those lines and shadows are, I'm going to come here and pick up a little bit more of the darker ink. Just kind of brush that back over. I'm going to go over some of those areas where those lines are on the stamp, so I can kind of make those a little bit darker. So right there, the stamp is kind of telling you where you want to maybe add some shadowing to get some darker colors. All right, I think I'm done with the yellow for now. Let's go with the crumb cake. I keep wanting to say pecan pie, but it's actually crumb cake. Okay, so I'm going to come in here. Okay, now, see these little shadows here under the pumpkin? I'm also going to kind of paint those with our crumb cake. And I literally put like just a dot, like one drop of the re-inker on these blocks to be able to get the color that I want. Okay, I'm just going to, these are like the husks around the corn, and they're usually kind of dried and faded. So again, crumb cake is good for that. I'm going to come up here and do some of our wheat over there. This is kind of like, I don't know, like wheat or prairie grass or whatever you want to call that. Remember I said I wanted to add some more crumb cake to the stems here. I can't even think today. So today has just been one of those days. I needed to get some change at the bank. So I went to the ATM and I got a 20, but I needed like fives and singles. So I went into the bank and I said, I got this at the ATM. I need some get change. Can I please have two fives and 10 tens? Like, you're looking at me like I had 12 heads. I'm like, oh, no, no, no. I mean, 10 singles. When I go to Best Buy to get the laptop and I'm walking out and I'm going out the indoor and the guy's like, and it's got big letters that says this is not an exit. I wasn't paying attention. So yeah, this is just the continuation of a crazy week, a crazy day. All right, I'm going to pick up some orange here and I'm going to color my pumpkin. Now I want to make the one in front a little bit lighter. So I'm going to use a lot of water to make my orange color kind of light. And you'll see it doesn't matter that I kind of got some yellow in there because I'm going to paint right over it. Now I like to, this is very strange. I know I am strange. I, for some reason, like to go from like the bottom, I like to turn it upside down. It just helps me. I don't know why. I can just feel like I can do a better job doing it this way. So whatever floats your boat, but sometimes I just have to turn it upside down. So that's a little bit darker than I would have liked. So let me add some more water there. See how I can make that a little bit lighter right now. So tell me, do you have water painters and have you used them? And if you have not, will you try them now after seeing this video? I hope you will because it really is fun. And the beauty is there's really no right or wrong way to do it. So, some people may say, oh, you got to do it this way. You got to relax, have fun, just enjoy yourself. That's what crafting is supposed to be all about. It's supposed to be about enjoying yourself and having fun and trying new things and just seeing where your creativity can go. Um, you know, like I always say, there's a right way to use the tools, but there's really no right way to sort of create. So if you have the water painters, pull them out, fill them up, and just have at it and see what you can do. I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised. I was myself very pleasantly surprised. Like this didn't turn out half bad. It actually looks like pumpkins. It looks like it's supposed to look. Again, here we go, turning it upside down. I don't know why. I'm just so weird sometimes. I just feel like I can just go better doing it this way. I think it's easier on the downstroke is easier than a upward stroke. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just totally and completely weird. I'm going to add some shadows. I'm going to just come back in here with a little bit more ink that's going to be a little bit darker and add some shadows along here. And maybe along here. Okay. I think kind of messed up there. So I'm going to kind of straighten that out a little bit. I would say that's done. So then I would take out the matching die from the die set if I have it here. Okay, we've got, excuse me, the matching die. I would lay this on and off to the Stampin' Cut and Emboss I would go. And if I were done, we would end up with a piece that looks just like that. But look, at even just the two, I mean, they're still different, but I don't know. I think they look pretty good. What do you think? How did I do with my watercoloring? I think they're okay. I think they're okay. All right, let's go ahead and put our card together. So I've got our basic beige. I kind of want to get rid of this paper because I feel like it's going to make a mess. Let me just fold this over. The only problem is then I have the ring light. That over there. the ring light will reflect. So let me see if I can sort of do it a little bit like that. Okay, so I'm going to add a piece of basic white to the inside. This is 5¼ by 4, and I will have all of these measurements up. I'm going to go up and do the blog post. Hopefully the new laptop will be ready and I can do that. I needed it because we're going to be using it over the weekend to show the videos and the sessions. So I wanted to make sure that I had everything up and running well in advance. All right, this is a piece of the Gathering Together Designer Series paper. This is about 1½ inches by, I think, 4¾ So I just kind of did that. I just kind of laid it right there. Then this is the reverse side. I just did the reverse side. This is 1 inch by about 4. I'm just going to put that there. Just wanted to add a little bit of design elements to it. So we've got that. Then using our stylish shapes dies, I cut a circle from Old Olive. Now I want to trim off that right edge because it's going to go right on the edge of our card. So I'm just going to put this in there, not much, just a little bit. Like that's good. And slice that off so that you'll see I've got that even edge that I can put right there along my right edge. So I'm going to go ahead and add some adhesive. I am not going to do any dimensionals on this piece. Okay, I want to make sure I get that even. All right, I am going to put my pumpkins on dimensional, so I'm going to pop these up. Oops, see, and I got that wet. Okay. Wipe it off on my sleeve. It'll be fine. I feel like I am rambling. I feel like I am going to lose my mind. I need more hours than there are currently in the day right now. But I guess we all feel like that at times. Tell me if you ever felt like it's just spiraling out of control some days. All right, I'm going to add that. Now I do have a little piece here of basic beige. This is, I think, 1 inch, sorry, ½ inch wide. I'm not sure how long it is, but I want to stamp a sentiment in Old Olive. And our sentiment is grateful for you. Okay, I'm going to stamp this. Just move that out of the way for 1 minute. Grateful for you, I hope. Okay, now I want to flag the end. So I want to come in here with my trusty little paper snips. Okay, I'm going to cut a snip in the middle, and then I'm going to angle it, and that is going to create that flag. Okay, so because I'm going to put this where it's kind of half on and half off, this end where the U is will get Stampin' Seal, and the rest of it will get a dimensional, because remember, we popped this up, so anything that hangs off of it has to also be at the same level. So I'm going to put some dimensionals on the sort of the far side, which is my flagged end. And if you have minis, the minis would be great here. I do have them, but they're not here at my desk right now. And then I'm just going to put a little tiny snippet of seal right there. It helps if you take the covers off. I just put 2 dimensionals, and there's a little bit of Stampin' Seal right there. And we're going to just stick that right there. Okay, so now it's even. Part that is on there is flat, and the rest that's hanging off is bumped up with the dimensionals to match the level of the pumpkin. I'm going to add, I put some antique pearls. I thought these would be pretty. Let me close this up, because you know me. I tend to get very messy with open ink pads. We don't want that. All right, take my pick tool. Now there are 3 different sizes of these. I think I need some more. I think it might be time to replace my putty end. I have to order some. I'm going to put one there, I'll put one there. And we'll get the third one, that little different size. We'll put that right there. And then I took a bit of our twine or a linen thread again. Now this one, because I'm only doing one, I'm just going to fold it. I'm not going to cut it yet till the bow is tied. I'm going to leave it on my bolt, on the spool, so to speak, because I don't know how big I want it. That looks good. I'm going to trim it up. Okay, I'm going to add a glue dot. There we go. I'm going to add a glue dot. Sometimes I like to roll them up so they're small. Stick it on the back of my twine and put that right there on my pumpkin. And that is our second card. So I hope that you liked these two different coloring techniques. I hope you'll give them a try. We did the blender brushes with some different colors of ink. And then we did our water painters with our ink refills and some stays on. So again, I hope you'll give these a try. Let me know what you think. And I'm always willing to hear what you guys have to say. So drop me a line, leave a comment. Thanks, everybody. I'll be fingers crossed that I will have a video to upload tomorrow. Bye now.